Abusuya Kennedy Dompreh kwa Agyapong Dr. Bawumia enei Adwoa Safo achirem nia ono osusu se 2028 yemfa ne mra na abusuya odin sembebre ena egu honum afa E-levy no one president Annoh danko Akufo-Addo enya adwen na nuntie nam so mane ko sha abrochire ene Annoh Dompreh so fire odi afire no esanse wo chiremu a as a leader e wo parliament no odina kwa akotena chire ho ba bi kra E-levy vote no wo chiremu a enye ono nko ana amanfo pese wo chire se aso wo to aba ne tia Oquaye wo chiremu a enipa eto aba ne tia Oquaye no omo do so pa
it's a report no
yes
me see Professor Oquaye a ocho report no report no sha see first page on start with Dompreh abenya the backyard ho no start say na Dr. Bawumia ye say na Ghana for one no na yi na o ma start no mo dey bawo me ye ka kire wo mu say me see Professor Oquaye report no on fa Dompreh abenya nya page 1 no on tworo ho asem ne ba no ne enti olusu Dompreh abenya otimi kire ya report ne yaka nyina ye befa ento sa ye befa honorable say chairman sabonsu o mo report no mo dey abado eno na ye krogen
ena dey wo kan sam
next day debut.
You want to see
charity begins at home. Yes, I can.
Yeah, that's true.
Ti only report ma no nim report tura. Me say on fa Dompreh abenya page 1. The report no na etwa so ansa no wedu Dr. Bawumia so. Eno de ebeji atum otimi kire yen pa na ehwem na enokre wakeka nokre ne enti a obema kentinka eko gina akonwa no oba besia 29 years meko gina anu mitimi akonwa for 12 years e de ama party ama yetimi agi akonya ne de asi wo vote no so afi bia na ekosoro e de enti na ne baba mu akentinka sabe ye ka say tua etwere bema bo ade na tuo ni twere ne baba ma ne bo ne ye wi wo Dompreh abenya otimi ka kire yen a onfa sobo no so mbo Dr. Bawumia se ono na ama yawe sente sa de a onyi Dr. Bawumia film na bebia sobo na wose ye de kono yen fanko.
But if you have another opportunity, you would support Dr. Bawumia as my flag bearer.
You best support
given another opportunity. But
every person deserves a second chance. For me, Obia deserves a second chance.
Okay.
As simple.
Na Akufo-Addo ya deni kwa baako no etija wo. Ya deni kwa mienu etija. Ne mprensa so na betenai. Etena kunya no so. Ya kan ya kan so no ya boni dua kunya no ontimi fa ne tonka so da. Ghana fo ebi kekai. Enso Nyankopon hye ne ho animonyam. Ya de Nana Akufo-Addo betena so. His Excellency. Iti ada ne de one ticket akobaako Dr. Bawumia akobaako. Na ya ye nim boni a ye di ye Ghana fo. Ye ni da ho ne ye kan ye ntie. MPs kan aboy we wa obeka bia no ne targeting o constituency si ye betu cause who boy against ewo mu nso na enokre na ne ye kan no adentu no no akobaako ono de ye se ye de ne ba bio mu enye ye edi entia Professor Mills okobaako ne fai okobaako anfa most of the times we first strike wa me ko MP first wa me lose ye
okay
me second time me win ye enti ena the power of incumbency no utimi use no wo second term because first term no aya na amafo ne ye wo de sa afi no mamba wo de yen hwe o mo kakra unya ka 8 ni wi a na Ghana for your madwin say ne ye de bema wa kwan ye de bema akwanya ye de bema ne de ama wo ya wa ya na wa ye ne ti kono obi mra it we were fighting against all odds ena ne yanso ya ntoto ne ma bi ye ene ne kosi ye Safo obi e wose ba na nkofo bi ko regency bi ko ye adwuma last minute say mampanyi eyiyi nkofo bi adi na mfaso obi ani so e kosi apathy e wo regions no
omo yiyi nkofo adi wo
there be e wo aban mu e na nya effect wo regions ni mu
okay
wonim edru ba bi wo parliament ye wo rule bi wo ho any practice acquire custom ade wo ya na eto so Obi di deputy leader penya leaders na chipe na wo so tena wo de maka hwe baby harunate
sure
hwe baby amutakate ye yi me woni baby ade mo kwotena they put me at the back bencher after I failed my parliament
really
exactly General Secretary Nebisa no it me bar down no there was a bill and I was say your parliament near pass no by no say general. Where me your bentina moya mesa. If you want me to go and vote on that bill, Munfa me need ye mama say me a former leader. Na munfa me seat in court na baby eti. Who be say we anya me a. Anya me na me ye seat o. The majority whip, he is responsible for seating arrangement. Into we mean say deputy leader and na deputy whip. Omu yi me no mo da
backbench like a first timer in parliament. Na we na why kom wo ho no.
Enti na me kasa mrepa mu no me kasa na me kasa mo pa mo frɛ no sasa ma me ka meboa. It was the general secretary and the deputy whip Sisia Habib. And honorable Habib ne gina wo mo na so ekoyi me din free a kire ho e ka sa Adwoa ha ne de ne betena.
And the general secretary ben
yeah Kodua time. Me ba ye ya 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Muslims amra parliament am say senia mo di makotena backbench. Bi amoye sa wa anim ho as leader no kra leaders no. Mumu bi beto me wo mrahye bedwa wo. And it is a rule. Honorable speaker, na oye leader no na me say na me ni parliament. But you mu no sitting arrangement, there's no way I'll bet me na kwatena e chire. Honorable Aveji no ye me counterpart. Onu no ye minority deputy. And ye yi no. Na ni enfi parliament no. Hwe baby omo de netenae. Aden na me ye oba. Na me di ekonya ne bi pen as a leader of parliament. Na upese se mesunsun na wudumu no. Se ni time na upese o time na mani nka ho. Wuyi mekonya e de me ko hye chire te se me backbencher. Aden. 12 years in parliament. But ade ba ko a me regret ba ko I will never. E-levy I de bomb me charge. E-levy
said at the time this was a critical piece of legislation and now buying people push it through to rescue the economy. Numbers near time. The opposition was on government said they will never allow or more just one number more than the opposition. Adwoa Safo also beka homa buying the 138. Yes, Adwoa Safo and you say you will not regret?
No. Esuro honu ye mu bi no. Ni esusu say emwa Ghana.
You had that personal conviction.
Exactly. So
say 11 emwa
yen. Esan say me baby ami me fi any baby ayetete me papa ofri grass and wako grace mu.
Okay.
Just ofri him and nyame aye no defo ene. Oba yen so no na odi atete yen na ya sori ni ginafo eye charity eye se yeboa ehiafo yeboa onibiefo enyanka na sebe minua me se na me hu 11 ni se me nam kwan na me hunu on eto body Kofi Brookman just o he body ni nyina na egu ho no wo boa no ko enu 500 Ghana obi ne dwotre 100 no watoto o say me maami wo ekura me sendi sika akoma no okotena so no o sendi kakra na wanya na ne yate na and sit well
with you
and na many ma sorry mpanyimfo ne me papa mo so de matena sese ade amode ba no dodo no ebeko tia ni pasit na mo ahokyere no be ye mo enti munyai. I was torn between my church and my political party. Some me party see yanko no so I even consultations are omde ye de ba first om se yankoye engagement say wo grassroots ni nyama ni nyina no enti where be me be I produce me fie which is Dompreh Abenya which is my papa sorry for and my papa sorry
bebre na so te
ho na bebre ni so sebe eye
bodwa fo no
exactly omo na ye bodwa adwuma omo so na do so wo man ni mu na omuti ade yase no more reducing it to this level Oquaye to training into so awoton na ode ma crassi en fa hwene ma me oyare ni yete no nti yaye hwa sa de eye ebeku atia. I took a firm decision say I would abstain.
You would abstain
from it. Yes, I'll recuse myself. Me recuse it. And then me kadishin yamye ni mwenyam say, baby, ame papa de me jina wa sorry ni mu. If I had gone against that, anke ne obi po accept me wo abusuya ni mu. Kwa yenya sorry na yenya sorry yo abusuya. Nti na Safo for baby Safo. And so omo kasa and omo soon e was say yemi soon. And I'm looking forward to that day in our politics wa Ghana. Obia betimi etire mahye bedwam ho ebe vote because anyese party ahwepe no na mo constituency for ne say your party ade kura na emmoa yetimi vote against that will enrich our democracy. Now say your quality go yen na your quality.
But did you make this principled position o ka kire wo party for omo say this is why you don't want to be part of the vote. Including parliamentary leadership, no?
Because I didn't start with parliament.
Okay.
A government policy. It just started with cabinet. That is where it starts. And then, because Dr. Bawumia ni edene ko 2024 elections. Na o se oba onwa de a ye de ba ye 11 no sanke ye to man oba mpro obe ye free ho. Amanyo fofo ya be ye nuano NDC fo nso ba ye. One of their things that budget mu si ye twa 11. Inti say ya de papa na bo manfo na wo fom na mo ye dodo wo man mu ya de bia no wo mu sika wo mu de bedidi e de behwe fie ahwe emu etwato aso no minye na ukwati no sa tax na what dream bua was saying it me for me hu say samre no ne na asori ne meka ne na me papa eka ne na asori mpanyimfo ne bebre nso keka kire ye mpanyimfo so ade amode be ebe ham no ayantie no ahayen.
And that's why at the point Umbeki is our principled.
I made that principled decision because eneno wo ka se domi kwa benya na anu nkofo bi koye press conference on say Adwoa Safo ne na sorry for anto aba hwe yanko pe data ni hwe asofo ene sorry no duduo ni asori efomfo na wan sorry no duduo a anto abo amba so because omukoto tia yen bebre ne hye wo madwemu positi wo madwemu pise aba we ye nkoto why 11 kan adentia 11 kan.
My point is I like the fact say you took that principled position. Of course, I mean we all encourage for such critical decisions in parliament nankebeya MPBA enko down now on the man for encoding commo, and then he would carry the expectations and aspirations of the man for in parliament. And it's good for you to have taken that principle, but at least something that democracy needs. But the point is, at the time, even with this position, there was this pestering say Adwoa Safo baby Obinia should come. In fact, we heard stories say Chief of Staff Rezi Sekebi, my colleague MPB the Braille, ostensibly to make sure say you are back. Yet you say the chartered flight about US to bring you back to Ghana and in Sembebre. What was that about? And was no idea there.
I don't know. Me kasa me can say in semni bi wo honey allegations ni bi wo hono mo. Me baaye no. Ebi mu hia wa Adwoa ni yenim fa che. Who Rezi Sika Chief of Staff Sebio. Ofi Asante.
Yes.
When age now, when me papa mu ne bosu ni president Kofi mu ne bobosu. Yemi no pa. It is a me mama anti frame ma baby awo bi amechia. Ma anti frame me friend on chief of staff me friend ma straight cause o yemi mama. In problem me adea or the best ma wo bi. Na wo abeka. That is my point. Because the relationship between Yenya Busuyan and no Busuyan or Chuka or Bami Papa was straight. Inti middle man also woman ya ready to come on no the better account. And I stated there Nana ya brefu network so. Nam sini pano kwasi $1 Me na me so Fidelity nko check or the Fidelity bank account na no kind of Fidelity. I don't even have a dollar account in Fidelity. It's not account no do ko two mu Fidelity no ewe he. Oh, asemba na politics no obia tena se no esan say ebia ofili say amanyo sem no wo kododo yenke bi ne yembreki no wo politics ye niam bebre entwitwa chire entwitwa nan american say anansi ntwitwa bebre ne wom. People were just making noise out of the vacuum.
Just concocting stories.
Cause niema say kwan da ho. And at the time na me se menkasa.
Yes.
Esansi enginan krani mu ntutu nkrani. And at those who knew the real facts and so monkasa into obi atena so boni sire mo na akotena no waka ne ope. Ah no mu din so mu de say adwo asafo ne yi na freedom me kwa abenya na nanim agu ase. Ene do me kwa abenya. The moment for Nankasa is after Adwoa Safo back. But whether or not I will contest, no, it is a decision I will take with my family.
And when you take
it,
we'll come there and find out. You are saying, sir, the narrative, sir, Chief of Staff, the Sikasumai.
And I refute it.
That did not happen.
It did not happen and it can't happen. Me, yeah. Omo kana sa, yemu be able to that extent too. Ye de hu Apostle Joseph ye fie na ye fie no ye de ye hu enye obi na be ma usika e na me Adwoa Safo me fie abrochi am na abrochi no obi na de me koy no iti ye kasa me enka ne tisa se nipa no se bi ye kofa ni free kwan woni renti ye kopi bibi baby e fie a me fie mo no se me yes ga me papa na be ma miska enye political party na se me mu ye nso ma sa de abetuja obi afa kapre amreme and na ministry a dollar account e wo Fidelity ani pane so de ko gu ho no and I'll say it oh nana omo ya de na scheme no ma scheme ya to the extent say e was so be you see apostrophe nsuo mu
yeah e be catch you say
internet was here pe yes
somebody who is close to you
yes ya ko for obi a o ben no ana woni no na ono so tie asemo a se bia wo misem oh hwehwem se me de man na no akọ presenting is amwa but I took a decision say baby amode ko faaye no me masini mu mafi ho into for the sanctity of me busua ne me ma no nya ne sa na let it go.
And that's why at the time one make us that allegation no
exactly e be back and forth in quality wa na kwa say mu baby me baby yetete me pa o it me kama no tu se emrepa mu no na me nsuma ye den
ma be come side of it emrepa no eni but the thing about a private jet say emfa me fa wo mra no did that also happen?
Also private jet. a number of things happen no credit wo kan e be boa.
Yes.
Yet the tagi say Adwoa Safo private jet abefa Adwoa Safo meboa.
Yes.
Me tuma MPP mpanyifo obi ate. Say private jet ba mpo a e Adwoa Safo nkwa na ye de fa na. I'm asking them. And then you see ye rebuild it, ye regroup it, ye restructure. Into no kura na ni ye won krofo eyemu eye omo ye nyina so obi aka. Me bisa wo mo say so mo say Adwoa Safo akofa private jet ye de na ma me bisa say the private jet ni mpo e ba ya na Adwoa Safo nkwa na wa ma no ni at that time kwa na nyame nkwa na me wa ma no ni, and that was the pain.
Enti at that time na why no wa ma no ni hobi and as a private jet won why na fro ba yeah come no cry me be nsem nani na obi an healing very important. I
will say on authority say na nyame nko a and na me me private jet ni mpo say be fa me
but it's clear say by
and na me ka say whether private jet and as a plane na be fa nipa no kra no at that point Adwoa Safo nko a na me din say ye na ha inti ye ka eno be spread more no mo hyehyɛ connect nso e ba ye nso no mo so et wo normal. That is what's my point. When ye na me famous oba kra me ye deputy leader no ye nia ba on our side And also called to a similar situation. We managed it. Honorable HMS Abun, so any deputy.
Yes.
As the chair of the Women's Caucus, I managed it in such a way, say, no, say, deputy minister count. Obiante Moshi, Kopim so ne Huchin ye bibia ne buton yem and your money by. We make sure see any speaker engaging them. Adena a drew a bit dear so dear leadership a bit me koto airtime ye ninatem.
See on the day of the E-levy vote, no, you were in Parliament, right? Eventually, after the principled position, any Addo, we saw one day Senate voting in Bekoso. Adwoa Safo ended Parliament. Now she nose mask, and there was this argument. Say, Adwoa Safo, Adwoa Safo. Were you the one?
Name.
Are you sure?
Somewhere name.
You had come down from US. Now about from US.
Yeah.
And no na that time na private jet never farm about.
No problem. Me koba bebre. With me at that point, yes. Situation na me woman tina me koba. And me sa permission bi ane de me ko. Na ba ko e ko to me ba panyini ne de ne sa ko to me no. E na ma me che. But sa dan na me but na me mu ayedu. Na ma obabia me wuvia me huhuru aha na emia but me nim those within omo so sa orchestrate yes na ye we na ye minua na fine ko see wo ba
there is no officer your orchestration
am I your seminal
to tarnish your image
exactly make sana me hu no and who to say plan A anya plan B beba but to the extent say Yabeka say say me say ye afenyo marking as deputy leader member afenyo minua upa friend is here and me bow down when some of them see senior mene the current majority leader ye din komo they were surprised omotimi gina wo hwedi na me say wotimi bom semu ka asem na munnim se nipa no kra oyebusuani wini ba ho na ono aba afenyo wo no na me papa ete ne kanse ne nyama no o ti se minua obefie be hu oluman no okọ no oba eti den no bitimi kwotena wo se me se yenyi afenyo amema as deputy leader na ya mfa me ma na machina na no obi akoto OKFM no oteso no odi matem anopa awia no hodi party ni to ransom ne wen me charge musen ana me de den me ye say 29-year-old akola na me ye me practice imra me gina mu den na me de to ho na me papa bie nyuma bebre a metimi ahwe abusue adwuma no na me se da bi me de me hu to ho e de ama me manfo akomra hye bedwam. That is my only sacrifice. I mean, yet say Adwoa inti ye persecute no ni say in a political career. And so I and ni akoso wo dome kwa benya no. Baby a party ni panyi bia hye bia no. The writing is clear on the walls. And only ye beto abani na Dr. Musa Dankwa. Yes. Or your report be na ba me wo constituency for I've been there for 12 years. Yeah, no ma share me see papa in some work no mun take na mun fanya adwuma wo. O monsieur papa no NDC for ato no and work na hwe analysis that papa ne ye nyina. He predictions me lose primaries. And me make primaries I knew the album I did to aban me I knew I was going to lose.
Now say the same album na mo dey
Debbie. Yeah.
It was a different album.
Yeah.
At the time na omoye aba for sa polling station le na wuni ha.
Na me ha. It's a different album. And the album from top me you be free move from a soro ko pim from na adwen ko mo nyina ko adwen kro say ye nye in such a way say Adwoa no ye yi na free ho. And ye yi me free ho na metena hodin. Afei election anko ya say Adwoa na wan ko ye campaign. It's circulated everywhere in the party say Adwoa mabeye unpopular in the constituency. Inti ye de me kwa ye belusu. Omanfo ne mpeme. Omanfo ne mpeno. Omanfo ne mpeno. Inti obi omanfo ne mpeno no. Afei si de na obeka say wo lusu election no. E ya Adwoa Safo a oye unpopular no. A ye mpeno no. Ono a wa menti ene wa lusu. It doesn't sit well with logic. It makes sense to me. Intimate and I draw yes one way campaign or Melus also one way campaign. Because if my brand Adwoa Safo was still intact at the time, I must say Yempemena. Intact, sir, and Nanamudia Munua. Then why do you tell me about Danu Bium because I didn't intact no brand no Adwoa Safo brand no Yempebium. Emra na domekwa abenya abaya ye 2 year na intimi declare almost so mokoye rerun ewo one polling station bin
sure
BBC wo ho me wana mpanyufo fresh say ye meeting bi na
for ben
party mpanyufo general secretary no ho campaign manager no ho me papa macmen ni mpanyufo bebre no mo ho eno mo frey me mama chief of staff nso to me nkra se me momo de ne ana me nko me koye na abamu a ugina wo do me kwa benye ono nso ti hobi chenchina ye mama mpi na ontimi ne mentina yiba
Michael Oquaye Junior say ontimi ne ontena post election meeting no
into opeso omu ka sembi wa abonten no omu pie me so me jodia but me you push over sao see me catch and say you ntina mu meeting I share that frame and I'm about inti se wo se me free meeting ni mu a emma so na just no sore ko because emremu kura no me my 23 years at the bar
oye junior
we me junior at the bar you can't tell me say me free meeting una ubra a former leader. And I'm paying for Konequaki Kai Kayano Musa Betanasi. And a meeting, because see a quadrone, see a quacan say, a bubon paying for this woman on my free. And the decision at that meeting was so critical, say, a boy yina. Ain't your poor meeting, no, I may be catching paying for the back, say, Moon atmosphere. I drank a campaign with Domekwa meeting crowd, Mumutimu, Yafre crown. Obi feel it threatened say me fi meeting into adeno or ye campaigner
anka obekọ
me kọ ho a and I mean me kan nwamenu mu me ka de hye me nyankopon dien munyam eni adwuma pa me papa ye say enne me tisi do me kwa abenya edom edi machi no into ye program na me kọ ho a he will be intimidated into e wo se kwan bi aso fa kwan bi so na me mma na me so me ahoden no enya restricted do me kwa me be join MPP man ka se do me kwa benya kuduma nkwa na me be yo inti trobo me nua ba wo ho ye me ko ye campaign me ko okoboy ho ko ye campaign me abobo bebre me ye campaign no but baby I didn't need baby I need e wo no e wo se wo di need inti wunya need wo baby a wo a na chenchena wo for se ye ma need there be anayama recognition ti mesremo ni obi ati ye bia ba Adwoa Safo in Mofrey Kra, I mean, I bet Mammy no Cassia Macopia Manoni. It was after it was during 2012 elections.
And I would
because my life was being threatened, including that of my children. Obi ye me drive a dean call me my school twice. So I found woman.
Really?
Exactly. 2012 election that is where we uncovered the election fraud. Say bibia koso near court and a year way giddy. 2 occasions. And I took a decision, say, me politically exposed. Omu papa so politically exposed. Into omu ye best I say, omuni because about time bia yembe no. Na school afro, what more will be Miss Minsumai. No what must afro what more be Miss Minsumai twice. It me man into some prensa, near family man kwanza. Inti I have sacrificed a lot for MPP. Say me met me kata me near DMPP boni. Ne mum near me be wo ho na echia na woka near no wonya adwene a na wo say a brand wo say wonya ni papa.
But one thing I think in this conversation amount for NT okase uwa bruchi na neoma bi na ekoso we ye wadwen se won kasa I mean yenim se na Adwoa Safo ewo abrochire occasionally na wabe video atonyom asakakra Ghana for ehu. What was happening abrochona now na ade na ekoso unless it is too private I won't pesa we share but what was really happening na ade
me ba penyin.
Yes.
My friend Ohine.
Okay.
Safo Agyapong.
Okay.
Onya medical problem.
Okay.
Inti ni nyina yesu so ya nkola yare ebeko. But ekọ animu no ena complications ebe mu. Na ye ne nan ene nante ho asem. Edrum na me ena me kaso na me de koba. Bedum rebi no. Oh yeah, a whole system ne ha no. Enti se ye ha die you. Abofra ne ye hu no. No okọ school. Ni ye hu at least one parent be a ni situation no wo mu no. All show say ono na ehwe no ne ayi a raise a teacher for na na be reporting. Headmistress na say head of school na nkasa na be reporting. It got to a stage surgery be mu, healing be mu, social sem. It came to a point that I had to take a decision. I had to take a decision to be there, or mebano ni okomuno, which was a 50-50 whether oben antibium and one antibium. And I said one antibium and one antibium no so no. Ube bada krono. Ni say ye denama adoption foster parent. Baby I didn't go kwashekra wu. And I know a lot of women abroad that go through a lot of these things. And ye bema semo ye bema one signal. Ni teacher be tro ebe send new email and I head of school we be say Kelvin situation or who say ebia obi odene ba no enye ne maame enye ne papa nti mo ye den. It got to a point that I had to take that decision to stick to family. And they me ko ye me menya emema bebreu me ba be ma ye one pe oba so ye one ye me ko ebie ma yenya nti I had to take a decision say me bo me de ho ban no especially ona no bibia to yes
condition.
Yes and then me ka de hye nyame anumunyam nipa ne nana nso ye bibidro bebre o bibia to si ya ye ba ye kra ubisa won eni me a ona na ma ne betra Ghana 8 months em wo chechire yi se we bibidro. You know my father is into herbal si ken chechire wo so ma ye ne omo be de na Dompreh mu yare de aya ye fie de yin so ye obetra Ghana ha 8 to 9 months na we school online
it de ho atono sisi anya
nyame adom bibia ye nti ne me sre wo mu ne se obatan bi a wo tie me onfa ne ho nhye me situation. So you had a choice to either take a political career,
yes,
who post that would di or man for our represent you, and they will bow that won't quantasu. One shakran swa. Yes, I begin a fluence, and we about time mujana mua. Now we ye before.
But why didn't you resign then? I didn't know why resigning. Because you had made a decision, say you would want to take care of your child. I mean, me. In that same situation, I'll take the decision. I will take here, and I believe every sane human being will take that decision. But then you should have let gone off something into or minus trusty responsibility be onto you. Now a minister in charge of now agenda at the time. Yes, you could have resigned so that everybody will see. Say, okay, the person had a choice to make. We're making choice any sane human being would make. But then you don't have to let the state also suffer.
The state wasn't suffering because in Penyinfua it was a mema womote asemna se no womote ase. And I had one particular Penyin pa where party who advised me against resignation. Or some me resigning. So niebe womu bia no minyina mu. Na niebe kwa kusi awie no. I mean, funny, sir, because as will be a day, ne rare ashewu sebe ye juma. Nan sembe brea koso or so pay any infamano or say, Obi abonitri one or can't bibi. The moment will be resigning. Reasons ebe children so crown so ye baby. Until I spoke to Penyin Pa and I know say, oh, tia, only minute, or catch Mr. Adwoa, please, I beg you, don't resign.
Was that the president?
They been patron.
Okay.
Na Obesha because na omutse ni ekoswase and I was writing, I was communicating to them. Usha adwuma no ye de to ho Mama Cecilia Dapa for 1 year.
Yes.
There be a day tina if I had any down bonny pan and why would Impenyufo no engage me for that long? Because when him say yari enye nipa pese yari beto uba wo kwen.
Enye
buapayo. That is why edu mrebi no. Omo say ode mo bi nkwohwe na Adwoa enhwe ne ewoni fie na efie so
you are informed the appointing authority.
Why? Yes, and ye kwaso nyina no periodically then mama update. Now ne hu hia de say my ba no me ba bebre ana Ghana for edu ba bi kura no me ba meti ha na wo akwakwere Ghanaweb say Adwoa Safo is gone again so na meti Ghana. Me say so who is paying people to do this damage? Inti ba ko de na panyi ba ko gina OKFM e kasa. Sa Adwoa Safo ba ye hwe say yemi adwuma wasa akọ. Odi phone ne to so na me friend na me say eh me patcho me wa ha o. Me ba ofie sisi a na me ko panyi. E na me ko panyi ni fie.
Parliamentary
leader. And I say oh sa o mo ka che me say wo ko. E na me say ti ye kan ye no so no. Unfre. So ni me fie. Me
leader ben no. In the spirit of yeah can be a woman. So to me they say we enye defamation.
When we fit dey kwa chiri panju dey emfaso ha. Iti I didn't make any say. Men di Ghana fo nwamo. So be feeling say me di omo hwamo a. Masre wo mo fa ncheme. But me dia me susu ye mu no. Na ne na me komu no. Ne wo se mpanyufo tie bia wo mo tie.
Baba enumpo no Adwoa
na e bi so say ote ho na ye tua let me set the record straight ote ho na aban na ye tua no me pa
say while you were away you know say as a because I now okay you hadn't resigned it did not still allow you minister now will be acting in your stead keke
me pa minister kuna no acting whatever I was entitled to no went to that minister not me.
Really?
Yes. Inti na mo ka se me bo aban ka no. Se me ba yare o. E na me ma bo mama ne obi acting.
Yes.
Nipa na acting mo nko bisa ne se ne na e wo me no. Na e ba me ho ana. Nipa acting a ono sorry on net office ho. Si bibia ono na e sign ni. Enwuma kra na e bi mu me wo ho a e bi mu na o ma sha ase a o mo ye kra no. Oba ye wo twa mu sa de ma nipa foforo. Inti na Adwoa e boka na me boka ne gu.
You are saying, sir, while you were away for 1 year plus, no, the salary and emolument due you as minister, no, na dia eba wo, na ko nipa na o acting ho.
Me pa join.
Na okay, and I think there was this other point, sir. As minister in charge of gender, no, yes, president the power. As member of parliament for Dompreh for the Tuaba Emao. In almost all representation no here in parliament no were they aware of what you were going through make sure constituent no were they aware no mo nya
almost na mo nya aware yeah
but don't you think say a honor dey na a bit problematic
I don't know make say nyina nkna ni mu tutu nkran in the heat of the things na ekoso na motibu o masum no kra o kan be ka was o ko na ko kan wasem kire wo mo kra onyim ni ena na adwene mu so aye ne he intem na me ba ye ne de I make sure say stakeholder engagement e wo me mpesua so ni mu amasofo nyina me hia wo me mamofo o mo a opinion leaders nya wo mo e wo so mo ti o masem no na bebre no ene che mase enti na na o susu say anka party from so saba enti na man ye koye but I say on authority say I had people who were pushing me MPP for one me personally so me ko independent
really
yes me papa na mama anko they omo confuse me kura wiye na me ko me say papa omo say ni edi mani dodo no omo beboa me ni enye na do me kwa benya de me kwa kwanten krokra na metimi edi seat na edi akọ na me koduru wa na masa akọ join pepe unu masa papa ka che me o si da bi wawo amanyo sem no ye nye ne sa baabia o maboa wa pagya wa kwa koduru no enye enne na wo bete wo na wo koduru wa ensem bebre ne betimi esi nti enkasa wo koduru ho na ye kwanten kra na wo sa beka wo mu enu udi enim gwase abrem ena ma mi cheso mo confuse me anopa wi anwumre And they went to the extent say, "Omu refer Kofi independent, omu di akɔgye post. Akɛseɛ ɛwɔ yɛ party ni mu. Na then na me de menkɔbi na mpanyinfo mohu na yesu yɛmfa nkɔgye bibi." But I told them, say, me spiritual father, me papa owo me. And on one so na me political father. And on one so na me sponsor, me financier. Nti ji se me ko bisa no. Me kan say da bia wo, ye nkɔ ne sa. Tenemu. We ye mu na wo tenemu ana, mu opposition crowd tenemu na nye we. Nti tenemu na ko.
Papa frɛ wo awo.
We any mama.
Okay. Nti one other thing and it's as a minister, somebody can act in your stead. You were advised against resigning. But as an MP, Obiant mean acting in your stead. Did you at a point consider say you would resign as a member of parliament? Because your people needed representation. They needed you in parliament. And no, Ama dream was to resign as MP.
Debbie.
You didn't think you had to resign as a member of parliament?
No, because MP no aya na adwuma wosaye won pesua so no MP ni nya na we so everything na was say a year in my absence as a member of parliament ni projects are na so whatever I was doing my electronic signatures and everything and I made so those letters schools and we completed it into my Facebook account you can even trace it so me buy immediately na me land in the crano NHI officer or constituency or me ko biano quarter me lobby me de buy me biano schools bia me de me get funds see na me ko na me buy anyone na me see there be even when I wasn't there COVID bar after COVID no after COVID by we no enya mani bi wo hono mo a na akoye electronic you can to the extent say you say before some when you be see you ni akọ report me say me mba me ministry ho me si ho me nko ho onko adwuma so it started from the ministry ebu abeba na me wo ho eto dan so a ya de obia eyare me to me asthmatic and COVID time no those of us who were asthmatic you at greater risk seeing obia it's me code kakrebia na me bowa kakrebia. I tell my chief director, I say Hajia, today I can't come to the office. Let's do a Zoom. And everybody assembles around the table. Near a Zoom meeting and everything. Me first term 2021. Na COVID need asujinem. UN General Assembly representation any presentation I was me. I did it via Zoom. Even at the international level, I'm accepting Zoom. Adena for some health reason. And you say they be azo. Me ye Zoom. Obiti me ko kase. And on my office or my ministry. All the heads, ask them. I did my men. I'm chief director. Say, Honorable, you are one of the ministers, hardworking ministers. I mean, no my ejumada. And I do ni na am me ni ejuma.
E-levy. Medical say MPBA enya sa personal conviction na ebeboa. But you came to Ghana, went to Parliament on the day ane ye tuaba on E-levy no. You voted and I say anko secret ballot, right? E-levy did go for secret ballot? No.
E-levy ni the court. There was the court that made the declaration.
Yeah, but the Parliament passed it. And they be more challenge your court. And a court affirm the decision of Parliament. And say on the day na Parliament air pass no. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 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 Parliament process
schedule for another one
for another
which
time.
I wasn't there.
I know they know.
And then I'm in here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. But on that day, you know, Sankayan fan say to abada day nebia obi a challenge head friend is saying speaker decision and also anke head count. They are challenging. They was say secret ballot and can be voted for and against based on your principled position.
I would have abstained.
You would have abstained.
Yeah.
Oh, you were that certain.
Very firm on that. Yes.
On E-levy?
Yes. And you levy beba, Sikaya Bejeje, Ebeboa, and me and IMF. Yeah.
Do you feel vindicated with the position?
I feel really elated today.
The election that brought Alban Bagbin in as Speaker of Parliament.
Yeah.
The claim against you, say, NPP for me, you know, Etoma Alban Bagbin. Now we come and you betrayed the party in that election. What is our claim, number one?
Mate, yes, me ko primary school, me ko for ne bisa me. And you know, and I dare in Penyufua, in leadership of Parliament,
yes.
Which at that time I was the immediate past leader.
Yes.
Me there almost say en kwafo ekotuti ai na yetu. Na yetu na brutu. It's why identify so you person can say mono na adwosa fudin ba mu nko ana na ya ye ne bibi. Why na say en kwafo ekotuti ai na mu yetu. Hwe won na say post to be by na me Sunday me constituency for.
Yes.
Say MPC bin kran so hia ye we side no. Omo say Oquaye Ken must go no na ye di wo mo ani na omo bi so na kwatuti a Oquaye wante eh
no ba up
enye omo say two
eh na say nipa tuti a Oquaye no omo doso
hwe me at the time na yes I propose see a day Professor Michael Oquaye beba
yes
na ye ne da so leadership
sure
mene mpanyimfo bi ko mampanyi ho because so we leader won't anim ho kwa e se ne akirefo ne ka no ene o members ka no wo pick ne up wo ti se wo mu ka ene ne mampanyi ko di nkomo se ensem na o mu keka wo akire ho no say ni na ye pick na nti owo obi ka papa ne ho a
on propose
omu tu no na ansa na ye beye no so kon hia MPC ni nyina na onfa di mienu ana miensa bi nto ho na omu ankasa nkyere na se ne ye ka se ye piki ne ma bi se ye boa obehunu so ma piki edin a wono no pe a obeka tu meni nkura. And I will say it on authority. Me this also chairman sabunsu nekoi. Oquaye said, "We me deputy besenienko." I will propose. We made this proposal. Say, "Niamo mo keka." Who the MPs no? Ya yakasa who belong to caucus na. Say, "Be obi abone bra na obedi MP no." There's a level of control awo omuso. Okaze. Won hwepe omo a. Obo hwepe na won hwepe because we abone bra o ya defo o ya panyini krampo se o e na wa be abaho. Into say be obi bisa say into one can say ni adwin. The writings were on the wall for us from the beginning.
That if Michael Oquaye should be proposed, some people on your side would vote.
Yes, and they were not quiet about it. To us, the leaders at the time, they were not quiet about it. It was here, so one here, Doche or Justice Doche Dindi Bemu. That is why names in our popular because our members were telling us, say, Muma Obi Shunya de Emra. One thing I can't cry about boying as a party. Adia a D in your power no nimreso, a chamber near Kofa buying. So members were yes. So the chamber drop that chamber be a bad giddy no. Your members need be no thought say a D party ninya. They had their reservations about him. Which in Penyufo what party may be him. It's a do baby quad doche din by muka classy president and road beside the amad doche and a young munia na esakoi. And whole and behold, in Kofona no more castle one mobayeno, no munye two. And I know munye three. It was a to tia no modoso, and I can say it on authority. Say me to mana me maho. That day I was there.
You voted for him? I
voted because Papa na no di anymore at the time, and I was still a leader. New leadership.
Yes.
Inti or say on one year fanenko. Inti adiano see empekura na. I was yes, and the way no any principle and any conviction be an answer dear. a form phobia and I was sorry for be bem frewa na say we yeah there will be better now when winning.
But as to say you voting for him,
I voted.
You can say that before God.
I can say that before God and man. And that day Nankasano, majority leader, na me running late. Or no na or say chamber sabunsu. Or no na dini motorcade. Ebe farmi Oquaye mu. And I made them buy. Why do I go through all that stress? Me we delay me leader. My car traffic more. Me dispatch rider number. And obey him wo yinim na yedekoi. Na kosa line ye to aba. Knowing these things that I've discussed with you behind the scenes, I feel 2 years me could do fear. I say Adwoa Safo ko tuma how? Just say behind at the time, and I make a say this thing was planned, orchestrated, and reorchestrated. Just say every stage piano plan A and plan B, beba. Until we am fire say we fa. Because now I don't know at that time Adwoa Safo. That is what I thought. Me become papa, me say papa then tell me. And what also spiritual? I don't care. I care. It was spiritual. Just I orchestrated na aba into reality na Kofi be carrying it out. What's here? I bedroom. And I did same. Inti Mr. Ramo. 1 and about 2. And the co-opposite Professor Michael Oquaye. There was more than 2
from Omo side, Omo Dawson. And you are saying that on record. Say Omo Dawson.
Monsieur Omo Dawson saying sir. Omo Dawson saying sir. I need 2.
And the MPC Cobres Omo pa.
No much you Omo because na consultations na there was so a course no Omo dia Omo person Omo edeba no. And constant na bi mo si Omo bo say yensu ye be ye ne ye pe. And before to the sense as people were going to Mampenyi 1-on-1, yeah, they are dry, your evidence, your cameras, move for camera now, let's me to no. I didn't yes and I know. Munko famra me type metro no, Munko famra no much and a section of them too were defending. When a baba draw, if you won't go for Ukraine and Suyako can, but there was no way me, Namin Kohongo come as a move. Minkoka. But me, Mrs. say. I was in the pan who is soon in a bang. I would do Jumashanensa. And in my time as deputy leader, NDC for credit me one dance.
As a deputy leader,
I worked as a leader of the house. When Tiensua Ebedunya, the voices of the people, the voice of God. Ain't Yanti Nayan Sissis in Yamaibini levy, Mamunye. MYA Mode Bakwa and Koye. No one's Akoye stakeholder consultations, baby, move but still, nay, and yet, she say, and near ma, ne, was a year the 2 year na Ghana for air can. There be anyone who money.